Hello, this is a bit of a spontaneous little bonus video if you're a subscriber of mine. If you're not, welcome. I'm mostly going to be sharing something from the heart. This might even feel like a sponsored kind of short video, but that's the thing, is it's not. I am going to be talking about something. I'm going to be talking about a new game that's coming out that's actually live on Kickstarter right now called Agronomy, but I'm not getting paid or receiving any special treatments or even like a free version of the game. Literally, I'm a backer. I just wanted to talk about this because, it's not just like a random plug, but I actually was part of some of the beta testing for the initial development of this game, several years ago, in fact. This is something that's been in the works for a long time, and it's being developed by a friend of mine. They're on the core dev team, and they're finally publishing it, and I want to see them succeed because, I love supporting other people, like people who I know especially, who are, trying to be creative and trying to put themselves out there, in the same way that I put myself out here for making content that makes me very happy. They're making something that they're passionate about, and so when they make a board game, and I had fun with said board game, I asked them if I could make a little video about it, and they said absolutely, they'd love that. So, bonus today is that they're getting essentially free marketing. I don't know if it really counts because I'm not like I have a huge name or huge presence online, but I still want to get my voice out there. But downside to it not being a sponsored video means I'm just going to say what I want to say about it. I'm going to give you my impression of the game. I'm going to talk about why I enjoyed it and why I think you might enjoy it and why it should be something that's at least on your radar. And they don't have any say about that. So I apologize. I have a feeling you're gonna kind of hate what I say, creators, but you know what? This is the thing. It's an opinion piece. If you wanted to give me a script, you pay me, but that's okay. I don't want you to do that. So why do I talk about Agronomy and why talk about this Kickstarter? Well, again, I like supporting things. I've always been a big proponent of trying to support smaller projects, pet projects, or new developers in the gaming space, and this is no different. So what makes Agronomy so interesting? Well, first of all, it's a farming-based game. Now, that could lose a lot of you, but that's the thing. It's mostly flavorful for farming. You could probably substitute other mediums and make a game like this just as successful, so why farming? Well, farming is very down-to-earth, literally. It's very real. It's very something that a lot of people have experienced, whether it's small time in your back garden, or maybe you grew up in a community where there were actual farms and community events. I grew up in a place that had a lot of that. There were even weeks off of school so that the harvest season could be accomplished more effectively. Now, granted, I didn't have to participate in that because I was essentially a city kid, but I had many friends who did, and I knew someone in high school who drug pipe through fields to earn money, over the summer. It's just something that I grew up with, and so that's an appealing thing for me. And of course, I'm also a big fan of things like Stardew Valley and other farm sim games. So farming is always something I've had a passive interest for, and so I personally don't mind it at all. I think it's a great way to build a game and a great idea to build around. But this game's really interesting because it shifts away from just being a flavor pack and being more aggressive and thematic. So the game is going to be kind of a fusion of management and deck building. Some people might argue say they're kind of the same, and in a way they are, but I think that the management side of it is a bit more prominent than typical deck builders. A lot of deck builders just have a core resource they use to purchase things to upgrade your deck with. And this essentially works the same way, but the resource is more malleable, and the type of upgrades you can get for the decks that you're constructing are so diverse and so personalized that it really steps away from just being a simple deck builder. So you can think it's a management like Settlers of Catan, where you're hoarding resources, using resources, and trading resources with the core game and also with players in order to get advantages and to give yourself the tools necessary to win. And then the deck building side of it is also just kind of how you build up the resources necessary to continue to expand your business, which is supposed to be your simulated farm. But it's taken to a whole nother level, where Settlers of Catan or deck builders like Star Realms are games that are relatively easy to get into, and I would argue are pretty easy for younger people to get into. This is kind of the next step you would take. It's far more aggressive, it's far more complicated, but because of that, it leaves itself so much room for personalization, strategy, and replayability. I'd say, because Settlers is a great game, but it feels the same pretty much every time you play it. Agronomy is not. Absolutely. In fact, the several games that I played, the thing that led to the victor I never actually won a game, honestly. And the strategy that worked, that allowed somebody to actually win, was different every time. And that's because this game is so large. It's got so many options and directions you can go in. It's not just about resource management. It's a lot more about speculating, observing, and responding to the various strategies of the other players at the table. You can't just find something that you think will make you a lot of resources and just go for it. If you end up contending with another player for the same resources, you're going to both fail. You're both going to struggle to get the upper hand on each other, and then other players are going to have an open playing field to kind of mess with you and to take advantage of the situation. You also have to understand that there's certain points where you can't pivot anymore, or else you're just not going to be able to keep up with everybody else. The game is so heavily based on strategy, but then there's also a speed aspect, where acquiring the resources you want is something you have to be able to kind of play quickly with, or else you're going to be beat out. You're going to have other people taking the key components and the key deck pieces that you need to succeed. So you have to balance the speed of being able to make a decision quickly and commit to it, and also the ability to observe and be strategic about what choices you're making, or else you're going to start funneling your resources into cards that are just not very helpful. And then, of course, it comes down to the fine-tuning, cutting cards from your deck that you no longer need, exchanging cards and making them better, making it so that you have advantages in the market versus your other players, where you might even impose disadvantages. It all comes down to this very convoluted but very structured set of game rules, which is really fun. Now, there are a few things to let you know about. Obviously, go check the Kickstarter page. It lets you see pretty much everything you need to know. It's got a great information video that can talk about like the core aspects of the game. You can see examples of all the cards. But if you really want to get to the nitty-gritty, if you're like, this is something that sounds appealing to me, I want to learn more, not only can the Kickstarter get you on the right direction, but there's a couple things you should know. There's a Discord page that's just been opened to help foster and kind of build up communication within the community between the creators and those who are interested. On Friday, which should be tomorrow, December 8th, 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, so you don't have to convert to your local time, but they're going to be doing a live Q&A with the creators and founders of the game. So like they're going to sit down, they'll be able to answer questions directly, they can talk about some of the philosophy behind the decisions that were made and why the game runs the way it does. I think it'd be a good opportunity to really get an understanding of like the bones of the situation. And then for the rest of the month, as like the Kickstarter is kind of continuing, they're planning to host live gameplay on Tabletop Simulator, which is a really good platform for playing virtual games, and you can find it on Steam. I don't know if it's carried on other platforms like GOG, but I know it's on Steam for sure. And I know that the creators are going to be hosting some live games. So they got the game already imported into Tabletop Simulator. You can play it, and you can ask questions, you can kind of learn how it goes. And again, I imagine that you'd be able to access that without having to fully commit to a kickback package yet, just to know if you wanted to see for yourself how the game works. But even if you don't, I guarantee you, based on my interest, like if you like deck builders at all, or if you like strategy and resource management like games, this is something you'll want to jump into. And especially if you love those style of games but find them getting repetitive, boring, or just struggle to keep it dynamic and interesting. That's really what Agronomy is really good at. It's about taking the core concepts of resource management and deck building and expanding it into something that's just a whole nother monster, because the same strategy won't work every single time. A lot of deck builders, I feel, have the problem where you kind of get into a rhythm of like what you find works and kind of a strategy that you end up just kind of going for almost every time, whether you intend to or not. You end up kind of sliding yourself into the same strategy. That doesn't work for Agronomy, especially if you play with a group of people like repeatedly. They're going to start recognizing your patterns, and they're going to be able to, interfere with it. They're going to be able to take steps to prevent you from getting too far ahead. So you have to be adaptive. You have to play to the market, which is really what Agronomy is about. It's about adapting to market conditions. So again, the focus of the game is not so much on just building a good deck. It's about watching what other people are doing and adapting your market space to their market spaces and trying to, race to the top. I think it's really fun, really good gameplay, really good replayability, and there's a lot of love and heart that went into it. So please at least consider it. Go check out the Kickstarter. Go see if it's something that's worth your time. If you're like tabletop games like I do, it's a great way to pass the time. It's a good way to bond with people in a way that you just can't through video games. You can't through like a screen as well. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. I love playing video games with my friends online, but we also really love being able to crack a board game open. And that's one of the things that we always look forward to when we get together is like we can actually play a board game together and, play off of each other and like crack jokes and, do things that are just more personalized. So anyway, I didn't want to talk too much about this. I just wanted to get it out there and say, I hope that they're successful. I already am a backer. I'm looking forward. I want to get my hands on this game. I want to be able to play it with my friends and family. And, whether you see it as just like a personal favor or not, I wanted to make a video about it just to showcase it. So please check the links down below. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you enjoy and like are a fan of my regular content, making videos on story-based video games usually, but I'm going to dabble sometimes. I've got personal pet projects and things that I want to see be better, and I hope that my friend and his team get to have a very successful Kickstarter, and that not only is this going to be a launching point for their dreams to succeed, but they'll also be able to make future games that are going to be just as fun and engaging. So I hope you all check it out. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good rest of your day and have a good holiday season. And until the next video, watch me. If you see me next, I'll see you there.